December 28th, 2018.
This is Nerd Bourbon episode 82. I'm Seth Sturgill.
And I'm Todd Sturgill.
Todd, I'm winded. I'm catching my breath here. When you texted me to record this podcast, I had just got done coming back inside from a little jog that I was taking outside around my apartment complex.
Why?
Well, I'm just trying, I'll tell you why. So, I think I talked about this last week. My family's celebrating Hanukkah. We're eating a lot of fried foods. I can feel man boobs growing on top of my man boobs.
You know what's fucking weird though, dude? Why are we both without even really talking about trying to get like a little more physically active? Like we've both. I've been wanting to start running again. Yeah,
nothing crazy. I just did a little jog.
Well, that's the thing. With me, dude. Like I can do that shit and like take a run around my block or whatever. But it's just like I've been thinking about actually picking up a treadmill.
Yeah. So I had to go check the mail at the office. I mean, you've been to my apartment complex. The office it's a good little walk. So I just sort of was like, fuck it. I'll just kind of jog, to and from, and jog around the apartment complex a little bit while I go and take Herbie out, and my dog Herbie, let her go to the bathroom and stuff like that. And I just kind of was like, I mean, I'm not saying I'm like, oh, I want to lose a whole bunch of weight or anything like that.
But I'm kind of like more of a maintenance thing. That's the thing with me, dude. Like, I don't really gain weight, but it's just like I've maintained this weight for a while. Like the only time I did gain a little bit of weight when I went to my one job because it was just like less strenuous. Mm-hmm. So I definitely gained like a little bit of weight.
I don't really gain weight. I've maintained the same shitty body for years. Again, not even for a weight loss thing, just for a like feel better kind of thing. So I
feel that. I definitely feel that, dude. Like, that's the thing. Like, I felt really good when I was doing like the run on the treadmill, like almost every day.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of like look forward to doing it, and then like I think the only reason I stopped is the treadmill stopped fucking working. That's why I need to get a new one.
Just trying to energize myself, Todd. Get a little more energy in the old body. You know what I mean? Have a little bit of that. Have a little bit of the living force flow through me.
What's energy?
You know what
I mean?
Fuck. So we just, every day of Hanukkah you're eating fried food and you just feel gross and you just run a little bit of it off. And, I feel okay. I mean, like I said, I'm winded, but it's the good sort of winded after you work up a good sweat and you got a little bit of energy behind you, Todd. I got a little adrenaline in my system. Maybe it's fight or flight. I don't know. We're here at the end of the year, Todd. This is the last episode of 2018, which is weird to me. Because the year flew by for me. I don't know about you.
Dude, I swear to God, I feel like yesterday was like January.
I literally, I don't know about that, but I definitely was man, is it really?
It's hyperbole, but it's like,
I got married like 2 months ago.
Dude, that feels like it was way shorter. Like
I feel like that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that right there definitely feels like it just happened.
Yeah. But here we are at the end of the year, Todd. What we always like to do at the end of the year. We did it last year, and it's a kind of a tradition. And it's something that I've actually done independently for a long time, just to give myself kind of a self-important complex. We like to have Game of the Year discussions, and we like to make top 10 lists. And it's actually been a little while since we've done a list show anyway. So I've got kind of my thinking for the last episode of the year is we will both go through our top 10 games of the year and then kind of get into our most anticipated games of next year, which is a little interesting new system that I have for that too. And we'll talk about that when we get to it. But I don't know, how did you feel about the year in video games? How do you stack 2018 against other years?
Honestly, it's probably one of the best in recent memory. Just because it was like, with me, I don't play like a lot of games because like that's honestly why like making a top 10 is hard for me because it's just like I have to like really, especially at the ass end of my top 10. Mm-hmm. I'm like, because I already knew like what was gonna be like in my top like 5 type of shit, but like it's the top 10 part that I'm like, ugh. But like the top 5 in here is like fucking nothing but winners.
It's been a good year. I don't think we've had like a straight up bad year in gaming since like 2007 probably.
I don't even, oh shit, I was young as fuck in 2007, so I don't even remember how bad that shit was.
Well, 2007 was like one of the best years in video. That was the year that like Call of Duty 4 and Mario Galaxy, BioShock, I mean Mass Effect. I mean it was a fantastic year in video games, one of the best ever. And I think ever since then, really, as the last generation kind of kicked into high gear, I don't think we've necessarily had a like terrible year in video games since then. I mean, yeah, we've had years that are like more dry than others. I actually think this year was good. I think that this year was a little bit, for me at least, don't get me wrong, played a lot of great games this year. Don't get me wrong. Like, but, you know, compared to like some of these other like 2007, 2013, like these really primo years, 2018 is a little bit weak for me. I had a lot of disappointments this year, which was strange. Like I just real quick before we get into the not to dwell on the negative or anything, but I mean, like, you think about it, right? Yeah, there have been some great stuff that we'll definitely be getting into, but like I was disappointed in Destiny 2 pretty heavily this year.
Oh yes, you know, it's funny. It's funny. It's like I feel like I actually completely forgot about that game. I wouldn't have put it on my top 10 anyways, but completely forgot about that game.
Yeah, like Forsaken came out this year, and I found it very disappointing. In fact, I think all of the DLC for Destiny 2 may have come out this year.
Just about did, except for like maybe the first one.
Yeah, I think Curse of Osiris may have come out in December of last year, but
yeah, that sounds about right.
But the other two came out this year, and I found both of them to be disappointing in their own ways, and like so. You know, and that's just one game. I mean, Fallout 76. I mean, we've been talking about that basically every week since it's come out, and what a shit show that game was.
It's funny, is I've actually been playing it.
Yeah, I know you have. And I mean, there are things to like about it, but I mean, there's the game's a shit show. I don't think anybody can dispute
it's without
that.
a doubt a shit show. Like, but I have been fun just turning my brain off playing it with Tyler, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm not, you know, and we even said that, I think, when we initially sort of talked about the game. I'm not saying that there isn't fun to be had in the game, but, like, it is extremely flawed. And then even more so than all the flaws it has, like, the way that game has been handled has just been an absolute shit show. And like, one of the biggest, like, disappointments of 2018 for me. I mean, there's the way things have been going with, like, Battlefield 5 is really disappointing. So...
See, that's actually, it's funny, is this is probably one of the first years probably one of the first years to memory, I don't think I've actually had, like, a shooter in here at all.
In your top 10?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't, let me see. Yeah, I don't have one in mine either. It hasn't been a super, it's funny, because, like, it hasn't actually been that great of a year for shooters when you consider that, again, the three games that I just mentioned, all shooters. The three games that I just mentioned that I was disappointed in, all shooters. It has not been a great year for the shooter genre.
Yeah. Honestly, probably the best shooter that we've played is Black Ops 4.
Is Black Ops 4. We've been having a great time with it. Even, you know, like Zombies has been a lot of fun. Blackout's fun. The standard multiplayer we've both put a bunch of time into. And it's funny because that is sort of the, like... That's the safe shooter, right? That's the one where you're like, oh yeah, it's Call of Duty or whatever. But that, like,
but honestly, they did a solid fucking job with this one.
It's like Call of Duty's the shooter that's gonna stand out this year. Like, really? So I don't know. It's strange. So I think ultimately, you know, my point is, ultimately, I think 2018 was a little bit weak. Not bad, but a little weak compared to years past. That being said, the games on my top 10 here, and I don't know about you, but I'm very happy with all of them. And I think we'll do what we normally do. We'll just work backwards from 10.
Well, you know, what's funny is I really wanted to do a segue.
Okay.
Of, like, speaking of strange.
Oh, God. Okay, let's get into it. I'll allow it. I'll allow for this garbage segue.
Because you already know what's coming. My number 10. Strange Brigade.
I wanted to put this on my list very badly.
See, I know I wanted at least one of us to do it because, like, I fucking love the shit out of that game.
That game was a lot of fun.
Like, I'm a little disappointed that we didn't go back to do the fucking, like, other, like, DLCs for it.
Well, I mean,
but
we still had such a
too-
great time.
yeah, it's too far gone now to even jump back into that game. But the amount of time we put into it, like you platinumed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a fun game. It's not like the most polished game, but it's just a fun game.
It's a solid 7.
Just on the sheer fun I had with it, like I think it deserved to be on like my top 10. So
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, we actually put a good amount of time into it.
oh, we definitely did. Like
across everything that we did in that game. I mean, we must have spent a solid 20 plus hours.
Yep.
With Strange Brigade, and I mean, it's a fun game. It's a good, like I said, it's a solid 7. It's a good pulpy, third person shooter. It's arcadey. It's fun. It's got a good sense of humor to it. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that game, and I think when you look at some of these games that cannot get the online co-op right and can't even get multiplayer design right, it's interesting that you play a game like Strange Brigade and it didn't release at full price. It does not carry a full $60 AAA price tag, and yet it is well designed. And I just think that game is totally rock solid.
Yep.
If especially if you see it on sale, I think it's totally worth a pickup and play. It's just a lot of fun.
I think it's on sale right now, actually. Or I don't know, is the sale going to end by the time this episode comes out?
I'm not sure, but it frequently goes on sale. I think it was literally, it was like 25 or something like that for Black Friday. So you'll, if you're unsure about it, wait for a sale to pop off or something like that. And I think it's totally worth it. I really enjoyed that game. And like I said, if it weren't for some of these other games that made my list, I would have had Strange Brigade on here. So I'm glad that you gave it a little bit of love.
Oh, yeah, I had to.
My number 10 is another game that we spent a significant amount of time in co-op. It's A Way Out.
It's funny. It's also on my list.
Is it? What number is it for you?
It's a little higher. It's number 8.
Okay. So yeah,
we both talk about it now.
Yeah, I mean, a Way Out was a lot of fun. I really liked it. Except the ending sucked, but I liked the rest of it.
That's the thing. I whenever I think about like my top 10, I think about like what game I had really good moments with, good memories with, and A Way Out is that. It's just except the end. Like I think we talked about it like after we were playing it. Like I kind of wished like the entire game was the prison break.
Right.
Like, because that right there in the prison was probably that game at its best, and like the amount of like co-op, like that's the thing, like a true co-op experience. It's been a long time since we've actually played something like that, and God, it was good. I think that true co-op experience. Yeah,
I think the game got a little too big for its britches, and that I think that the scope of the game could have been a lot smaller ultimately.
Yeah.
Just because, like we said before, like the game is at its best inside of that prison, and the game was sort of pitched before it came out as, this is that prison break game, right? When really the prison break is really only the first like hour or two. You get out of the prison pretty quick, and then you're sort of out in the world, and the game tells this like big kind of story and focuses on these characters, and I just don't think that stuff is all fine, but I don't think that is the game's strength. The game's strength is working together, escaping this prison together. I mean, that I'll never forget that moment when we're sitting there having to pass that pick back and forth to carve our way.
It's a memorable moment.
And having to like have one of us sneak inside of the basket of laundry and stuff like that. And when like you kept fucking up that thing, we had our backs pressed together.
Oh yeah. What's funny is like I always fuck up on shit like that.
It was just a lot of fun. Like I really enjoyed that experience, and yeah, the ending sort of devolves into this stupid like gunfight that.
Yeah, that is both of our biggest problems with it. It's like there was no need for it to devolve into a shooter because like that game, the shooting mechanic was it was like an afterthought type of shit.
Yeah, it just ultimately for me like the ways that game succeeded outshone the ways that it failed, though. Because even though I do think that, that again, it was a little too big for its britches, focused on kind of the wrong things, and then the ending sort of fell apart for me. But that does not take away from all of the good things that the game did and all the stuff that it did right. I mean, you and I explored that fucking house that you go to in the game. We were there for like hours. I felt like just chilling, just exploring stuff. So I mean, the game is fun. It's fun to just exist in that game. Like I really liked it. So overall, the general experience of A Way Out was very solid, despite the fact that it had problems. So, what's your number 9?
So my number 9. So when I was like putting my top 10 together, I was like, again, the ass end is always hard for me to do, and I ended up putting Vampire on my top 10.
Oh, okay.
Now, I didn't talk about it much on the podcast. I don't think. I wanted to.
I think you may have mentioned it, but...
I mentioned it, but I never actually got around to it. I genuinely do enjoy that game. Like, it's like... I'm... Not for gameplay. Gameplay is a little weak. Because it's like, I'm Todd, good combat, Sturgill. That's not good combat. It's like if Bloodborne was shit. But, like, I enjoy the world that they made in Vampire.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about is that the story
I enjoy
is great.
The world that was made in there. Like,
right.
The story itself is actually good. Like, I enjoy the story. I enjoy the world in the game. And it was just... And also, just again, it's like... It's very heavily dialogue-based. It's like, which I'm not surprised by. That's, like, honestly, like... I was thinking back to it, like, I didn't know what I was going to do for, like... I knew 10 was going to be strange weird, but I was, like, thinking about it. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do for 9? Like, I knew 9 was going to be a fucking problem. I'm sitting there looking at the video game releases, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I enjoyed that game.
Right.
I actually had a lot of fun with that game. Like, I kind of, like, took it easy with that game. But it's, like, overall, though, honestly, I know for a fact, it's a shitty thing to say, but if I played other games this year, Vampire probably wouldn't have been on this list.
Right.
But I'm going to shout it out, give it some love. Like, it's one of those games that, like, if you care for like a good story and like an interesting world, but you don't mind having to deal with like some shit gameplay, it's worth playing. Especially like I'd wait for it. I wish I got it when it was on sale instead of paying like full price.
Yeah, when you told me you were buying it for full price, I was like, ugh.
Yeah. That was probably a regret of mine, but it's an alright game. I think it's worth like $20-$30.
Right. I mean that's sort of the thing with Don't Nod's games. Like Remember Me was like that too, where the story and the world was cool, but the gameplay was just sort of a cheap Arkham kinda, but worse.
Yeah, that's funny. It's like that's kind of how it was. It's like Bloodborne if it was shit. Like.
Yeah, and then like Life is Strange is their most successful
and that's
series.
really not really gameplay related. I mean, it's not really gameplay heavy.
It isn't combat focused, at least.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
So it's Life is Strange is sort of a Telltale style adventure game. So there's not. It's kind of hard to fuck that up. You know what I mean?
Like that's like combat. Combat's their weak point.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a good weak point to have, honestly, because if you're building like these interesting worlds. And like having a good narrative, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think Don't Nod are good storytellers, and I think they're good artists and stuff like that. I think Don't Nod, they're very good like world builders and stuff like that. They're not necessarily combat programmers, and that's fine. I think they should sort of just make themselves comfortable operating in a space in which they don't need to focus on combat necessarily. If that's not something they feel like doing, I think that the case with Vampire, and I haven't played it. But the case with Vampire, it sounds like the combat is sort of, from what I understand, a little bit integral to the story, though, because there is sort of like character choice. Yeah,
there is character choice, and like that is actually one of the things I enjoy. Like it sucks is you have to make these decisions because the game is obviously harder if you do not feed.
Right.
And like feeding gives you XP. You can actually you can as you're a doctor or whatever, you can help cure these people of their illness so you can get more XP if you decide to feed on them. Like there's a lot of shit going into this game, and like if you don't feed, oh no.
See, that is interesting.
Right now, I was very underleveled for the final boss.
Yeah, that is an interesting idea though, because like as much as I love BioShock, there is no tension of like killing or saving the little sisters, right? Because even if you save them all, you still end up with plenty of Adam to buy everything you need. You know,
because it definitely got to. I remember it got to the point where I'm like, are you an asshole? Because I was trying to be good. I was trying to be a good vampire. I was like, are you an asshole? Say some shit. Say some bad shit.
Yeah. So but I like that. I like that the game actually punishes you for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like I like that a game will make it difficult to be the good guy. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it definitely got to the point at the end where I was like, the moment I was like, I had to make some fucking decisions because I was like, I need some levels.
Right. My number 9 is a game you may, I can't remember how much time I spent talking about this on the podcast, but it's a little indie game called Minute. You remember this?
I actually remember that.
Yeah, so Minute is a sort of like, it's hard to describe. It's sort of a Zelda-like game, I guess. It's a top-down action game. Sort of a action puzzle game, if anything. The art style is very, very simplistic. It sort of looks like an old, like, even like an Atari kind of style game, and it's all black and white. The sort of gameplay premise, though, is that you only ever have a minute until your character dies, and you have to restart the cycle. So it's Majora's Mask, but on acid, because you only have a minute. And so there's some really interesting ways that the game sort of gets around that, and the entirety of the gameplay hook is sort of based around finding ways to make the most out of your minute, and it goes to some pretty cool places. It must have been very hard to design that game. And I found it to be very impressive and very effective, and the music's really good, and I really enjoyed it. It's a really, honestly, as far as indie games go, like that's what makes an indie game stand out for me, is when it has a really interesting premise, and Minute is charming, and it's well designed. It pretty much won me over from the second I put my hands on it. So that's all I really have to say about that. We know what your number 8 is, so what's your number 7?
My number 7 is Darksiders 3.
Okay.
Are you surprised by that?
No, not really.
Oh, yeah, you know me.
I maybe thought it would have been a little higher, but
really,
but I'm not surprised it's on there.
Yeah, I kind of think where it is perfect, like right there, kind of in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like a little more on the lower end, because it's definitely not one of the best games I've played, but it's something I wanted to give love to, because I love the Darksiders franchise as a whole, but I think Darksiders 3 was it feels like I'm gonna be shitting on it, because I just honestly wish that they were they kept it in the oven a little longer.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we talked about that.
Yeah,
on the show for sure.
But overall, I think it was just a really good experience. Again, to just play a Darksiders game, because I love that fucking, I love the lore of that game, and I love the world.
Right.
And this is the Dark Soulsification of it. So I'm I'm there for it.
Yeah, in a way, the more I play of the game, and I'm and I haven't played much of it, but the more that I play of it, the more I actually have grown to really enjoy the combat.
Yeah, so yeah, dude, you get into this ebb and flow with the combat. Yeah,
to the point where I think it may be my favorite combat of the series.
Yes. So I talk shit about it a little bit with the dodge mechanics, but the moment you have that shit down, it is perfect. It actually works really, really well. The whole arcane counters and all that.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. Especially once you start getting once you get your actual weapon that you like using, because shit, I stick with obviously the main weapon, obviously, because you can't really change that out, but my secondary weapon's always that big ass mallet. I love it.
Well, and I think that for me the big issues, I mean, yeah, there's some technical hiccups and stuff like that, but I think that the movement and the platforming and the traversal mechanics really could have used some spit and polish for sure.
Yeah, I think that is one of the main things that took a hit with it coming out when it did, because that shit's rough.
I mean, sometimes it's hard. What you have to do, but it's hard to pull it off because
the game's that shitty.
Well, yeah, it's not even your fault really as a player. It's a very simple thing, but you just literally there's some jumps in there that the game requires you to make that are almost frame perfect.
Yes.
You have to walk to the very edge before you jump just to barely make it where you need to go.
Yep.
So there's definitely some stuff like that. I remember the very first boss against against Envy or whatever. Holy shit. It was hard to even in her second phase, there's so much platforming required.
Oh my, yeah, that shit. So like that right there, I get it. It was kind of like a tutorial, sort of like a boss or whatever, to kind of like get you a feel for what you got to do in the game with the platforming and like the swinging and shit. But it's like, holy fuck, I definitely failed that shit.
Oh,
once.
I did too. Yeah, I died the first time I did it just because like I said, the platforming and traversal mechanics are not quite there. But
Yeah.
again, the game does a lot of things really, really right. It sounds like,
Yep.
and like you say, I'm just happy that it exists at all. I'm a big fan of the series. So
And it's like, please let there be a fourth one.
right, yeah.
So like, give me my boy Strife.
I'm going to be interested to see how well that game sold. I don't believe I've seen any NPD numbers pop
Yeah,
up about
I
it.
am actually curious myself to see like the numbers on that.
Yeah, I wonder how forthcoming THQ Nordic is going to be about those numbers. Because, when when a company is very proud of the way their game sells, they are very forthcoming about it. Like we just heard today, like at the time of this recording, Smash has been out for like less than 2 weeks, and it's already sold over 3 million copies in the U.S. alone.
God bless.
So Nintendo, I mean, obviously they're very bullish on those numbers because they're doing well, right? So I wonder if and when THQ is going to reveal themselves here. My number 8 is a game that I spent a good amount of time with and thoroughly enjoyed. It's Dead Cells.
I feel like if I played more of that game, it would have been on my list.
Yeah, I really, really like this game a lot. It's a really, in terms of the roguelikes, roguelike, I like roguelikes, but they are definitely grating on me a little bit. Where there was a time there where I was playing like a lot of roguelikes.
Well, I feel like almost like it was like, oh, it's another roguelike. It's another roguelike.
Yeah, I mean, like between all the stuff like Crypt of the Necrodancer and Rogue Legacy and Spelunky, obviously. And, Spelunky's like one of my favorite games of all time, but like when you boil it down, a lot of indie games are roguelikes. I mean, The Binding of Isaac. I mean, a lot of big popular indie games are roguelikes. So I was definitely feeling a little bit of roguelike fatigue, but Dead Cells is a roguelike in a way that feels more considered, I guess. Like when you're playing Dead Cells, yes, everything is random and it is a roguelike and stuff like that, but it feels like it was made by hand. And you can speak to this a little bit because you've played it a little bit, but it doesn't feel like sometimes when you play a roguelike, and this is even true of like Spelunky, sometimes you get those randomly generated like oh that doesn't work, oh shit, there's a dead end there or whatever. But Dead Cells feels like it is an actual, like somebody actually sat there and designed levels versus it being randomly generated like it actually is. The roguelike element of Dead Cells is very well hidden, I guess. More so than any other roguelike I've ever played, where the levels feel very well considered and they mesh together in a very naturalistic way that does not feel random, even though it is. So I really respect that. I think the combat is excellent. I think the game just has a nice, fast, fluid feel to it. I think the dodge roll and I think that all just works really well.
Yeah, everything, like the combat works fucking fantastic in that game, even with like the little bit that I played.
Yeah, I the enemies are very readable, and it's one of those games, and I love it when a game can do this. Spelunky does this really well too, where the enemies are readable and they all have they have a clear visual language, but they also have you get an immediate understanding of what these enemies do. So like, oh, you approach this enemy and you're like, oh, there's this green skeleton guy. I know that he's going to like jump towards me, so I know that I have to roll underneath him, and that sort of stuff I really like. When you come to learn the enemy types, and you can, once you know them, you can sort of instantly process in your brain the second you see them how you're supposed to deal with them, right? I like that a lot.
Mm, yeah.
And Dead Cells really nails that. I like the sense of progression that is built into the game's design by way of, as you kind of get further and further, you unlock different traversal mechanics. Things like being able to use the teleporting coffins or grow the vines that let you access different areas. The game has got a lot of layers, and then obviously there are the passive upgrades between each stage. So it's a very, very deep game, and I really, really like it a lot. The Switch port is excellent, and I had a great time playing it in handheld mode. It's just, I can't say enough nice things about it. The music's great. The art is great. I mean, I really, really love Dead Cells a lot.
My number 6 is Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Okay.
I mean, what can I say other than go watch the first part of our random matches and just see how much fun I'm having with that shit. Dude, I actually, when I was putting that video together on YouTube, I was actually watching it. I was like, God, I just had fun watching that shit.
The game is just so much fun. So it's actually number 4 on my list.
I knew it was going to be higher for you.
I really, really love this game a lot.
Even without even talking about like just like the World of Light, which I do enjoy, which I still need to fucking sit there and play. Like just standard playing, just playing the game is just a fun fucking experience. Like everything just feels good.
Yeah.
Shit, that Link rework.
Yeah, Smash, I mean, just about every character has had a significant rework, and I don't think I have... I don't think I've really, like, gotten into a character yet where... And there's still... I'm like 30 hours in, and I've hardly scratched the surface. But there hasn't really been a character yet where I've, like, played around with them and said, like, ooh, this felt better in Wii U, or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I definitely haven't run into any of that.
The game is just balanced to a mirror sheen. I mean, it's just so polished, despite the fact that there's actually a lot of glitches and exploits in the game.
But it is truly, I think it is truly the ultimate version of Smash Brothers.
It does feel like it, and it does. It definitely is like I just like that I have this kind of nice, clean package of Smash Brothers that I can turn on. I've got all the characters throughout the entirety of the series in fine form with the most fluid gameplay. I honestly think that Smash is one of the rare series that, at least for me, has gotten better with each entry.
I mean, there's people that'll fight you on that.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, there's the people who are, you know, the diehard Melee fans and stuff, but I think that this really appeals to those people because of the more technical things that you can do now, like the mid-air dodges are back and stuff like that.
That shit is love.
Yeah, and there's like parrying and stuff now, and I really, really like it. If you know, there's the sort of the perfectly timed blocks and stuff, and
yep.
It's a more technical entry than the last. It is faster and more fluid than the last entry, and I already really loved 3DS and Wii U, and I mean, this to me is just even better, and like I said, it's one of the rare series that gets better with each entry, and yeah, Smash Ultimate is just the perfect realization of Smash Brothers for me, and I think that this is it's funny. A lot of people have been asking, like, is this going to be the last Smash Brothers game? You know, because honestly, they could just continue to update this through the entirety of the Switch's life,
yeah, and
be fine. We don't necessarily need a new one, you know. I think this will certainly be the last one for a long time. I don't think you should expect to see anything Smash Brothers related for years to come. But I wouldn't be shocked if this is literally the ultimate, the final Smash Brothers game.
Yeah, I could easily see it.
So, yeah, no, I love this game. So that was number 6 for you. It's number 4 for me. My number 7 is Hollow Knight. I almost forgot about this. I almost forgot that this game came out this year on Switch. Like, it feels to me like that game came out forever ago, but no, it came out earlier this year. And, man, what a game. Like, that game is superb. I still think that game needs to be on your radar.
It is technically on my radar. I just, like, haven't sat down and, like, bought it and played it.
It is a Metroidvania, but it is also, like, it is so difficult, and the combat is so rewarding, and the world design, it is the most, like, intricately designed Metroidvania that does not hold your hand whatsoever. And I don't find that intimidating in this game. I think in a lot of games that could be intimidating. In a lesser game, that would be intimidating. Just the sort of design of Hollow Knight would be intimidating in a lesser game, but Hollow Knight handles it so elegantly. I love pretty much everything it does, from the fact that you have to buy maps to uncover the map rather than, in a lot of Metroidvanias, it's either slowly unlocked through gameplay or it's sort of just uncovered naturally, like they just sort of give it to you. This game does not give you a thing. Hollow Knight never just gives the player anything. You have to work for it. And it's not punishingly difficult, but it is very, very difficult. And you get what you give with Hollow Knight. I really like it. The music and the art is phenomenal. That game never misses a beat, man. One of the top tier indie games, like right up there with the greats. It's really, really good. Anyway, so you're on number 5 now, I think.
Yes. So my number 5 is the Shadow of the Colossus remaster.
Yes.
I think we were talking about like should we do remasters or like re-releases?
I think that this works for you though.
Yes, this definitely works because this is actually the first time I've ever played it.
Exactly.
So
because the conversation came from, I was like, well, if I put Okami HD on my list, it's gonna be like really high on my list, and I had already played the game before. you know.
Yeah. So what can I say about this fucking game that hasn't been said throughout the years? It's a masterpiece. I just think back to like when I was actually playing it. Like I didn't look anything up. I figured, I played that game the real way of like figuring everything out myself, and like that shit is rewarding as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Like figuring all that crap out.
I mean, that is the game. Like I am of the opinion that if you look up like how to defeat a colossi or something like that, you are actively ruining the experience for yourself.
Yeah, like some real shit. Like it's funny is like I think back to like one of the first ones is probably one of the first fights is actually one of my favorite because I just think it's so fucking cool the way you get on the colossi.
Which one?
It's the bird.
Yeah,
that's
just jump. Probably my favorite one in the game actually.
Because it's so good because you jump and then you're fucking soaring through the air. Like it's so good.
Yeah, there's that moment of sort of like breathlessness where you have to you sort of have to throw caution to the wind and just take that leap, and then
it's funny is like I remember being in position. I'm like, is this what they really want me to do?
Yeah,
I was like, fuck, all right.
And like because that game kind of gives the player a comfortable level of stress, and that I mean like with stamina management and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The game feels consequential. It's not like the kind of game where you're like, oh, I can just fucking, jump and everything's gonna be fine. Like, no, you're taking a risk when you make that jump, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to have that, moment. I mean, that's just one of many amazing moments. As you.
Well, every single colossi is memorable in its own way. Like something memorable will happen throughout any single one of those fights.
Yeah, it's a masterful game.
God.
And that remake is so good.
Like I remember like I don't even remember like I almost forgot that it came out. I think it was you that said oh yeah, that game came out. You should fuck with that. And I'm so happy I did.
Yeah, I mean it's almost like you almost don't consider how amazing it is that game exists. Like that Blue Point took that game on and completely remade it. I mean, from a graphical perspective.
Yeah.
Like that game looks like when you play that remake, I mean, it looks like a game that came out yesterday. I mean, they did such a good job remaking that game. I mean, it doesn't look dated at all. It looks completely modern. And the gameplay, the controls, I mean, everything, that stuff still holds up. So the game doesn't feel dated whatsoever. I mean, they really did the Lord's work with that game, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And totally worthy way to introduce yourself to Shadow of the Colossus if you haven't. If you've never played that game, that is absolutely one of the greats. One of the greats. My number 6 is Guacamelee 2.
You know what's funny is like I'm like calling your list in my head. Like I'm dead ass. I'm like I'm waiting for Guacamelee.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Guacamelee 2 was fantastic. It was just it's easy to just say like, it's more Guacamelee and just fuck off, make a sandwich and go to bed. But no. It is more Guacamelee, but it it has expanded on Guacamelé's formula in meaningful ways. It still has the same, white knuckle platforming. It's got the same, sense of humor. I think Guacamelee 2 is actually vastly better written than the first one. And that's saying something, because I already found the first one funny, and I liked the characters already. But this one, like Guacamelee 2 really kicks it up a notch. There's a lot of like laugh out loud funny moments in Guacamelee 2. I really, really love it a lot. And it just came out on Switch. I've been debating on picking it back up and double dipping, no pun intended. But I ultimately don't think I'm going to, because that game was actually so hard in places that I fucking like raged. Like, I think you were present for a couple of my rages.
Oh, I was. It was so good. I enjoyed the living shit out of it. Like, dude. See, it's like you don't get angry often like that at a video game, but when you do, oof.
There are some
delicious.
There's some really tough parts of Guacamelee 2, and I'm very proud to have that platinum trophy. And Guacamelee 2 needed to be and deserved to be on my top 10 this year. Mm-hmm. Great game. What's next for you?
Oh, you know what's coming. I think you know what my number 4 is.
Hang on. Let me guess. So, number 4. I'm trying to think of what your. I know what number 1 is. I'm wondering, is it going to be Monster Hunter?
Yes. So that's the thing. You gotta look. You know what the top 3 are technically.
Yes.
It's the 3 games we've probably talked about the most. Type of shit.
It's the placement that I'm unsure of.
Yes. So 4 is Monster Hunter fucking World, a game where I have 500 plus hours, which is pretty low compared to some people.
That's a lot of fucking time, though, Todd.
Yeah.
There are few games where people will cross the 500-hour mark. There are few games that I've crossed the 500-hour mark in.
What can I say about Monster Hunter World other than I've always said this, I've always kind of dipped my toes into the Monster Hunter games, and I've always said just put this shit on console, clean up the controls, cut out the bullshit, and I will be there.
Right. I'll be there.
Yeah, it's that's Monster Hunter World in a fucking nutshell, and it's I think we were talking about this last week. Is there's even some hardcore Monster Hunter fans that say that this is the best in the series.
Right.
Shit, I enjoy the living hell out of it. Obviously, 500 fucking hours. I was it got to the point where you had to put a stop to me about talking about the game.
Dude, it was to the point where I was if I have to hear you say Monster Hunter another week, I swear to God, I'm just gonna rip my fucking hair out.
It'll come soon. It'll come next year. I'll still bring it up.
Oh yeah, it'll come back around whenever Iceborne comes out and stuff like that.
I'll probably fuck around with the Witcher shit, but it's. I'll say this I'll say this to anybody listening. If you were ever interested in a Monster Hunter game, Monster Hunter World is the best game to jump into, because it cuts out a lot of the absolute bullshit of the old ones.
Oh, this is easily the most accessible Monster Hunter game.
Yeah.
By far. So yeah, if you have ever been even remotely interested in trying out Monster Hunter, definitely jump into Monster Hunter World and give it a shot. This is definitely the most accessible the series has ever been, and for me, you and I pretty much had the same amount of exposure to the Monster Hunter series. I mean, even I put 70 hours into it. So I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Which for me, that's a ton of time. So
I think there was one thing I was gonna say, and I had just a massive, my brain just died right now for some reason. If I remember, I'll blurt it out.
but it also, the game has the game's good for co-op if you have a friend to play it with.
Oh yes.
So it's.
I wish the co-op was handled a little better. I wish it was just one of those things where I could just always sit there and play with you instead of going into the story mode.
Right.
Getting the cutscene and then playing with you.
That's a little strange, and I think that with the next entry, I hope that that's the next thing they iron out.
Yeah, I hope they just get rid of that shit, honestly. But, yeah, great game. Fantastic game. And shit, honestly, would have been higher if these other 3 didn't come out.
Right. So my number 5 is Tetris Effect.
God, I'm calling your shit. I'm calling it.
Surprising nobody, right? I mean, Tetris Effect is a masterful fucking game. That game, it honestly, I had a hard time with this one placing it because I think as a game, Tetris Effect is pretty much perfect. Like, it's really hard to think of any sort of criticism with Tetris Effect at all. It is the perfect confluence of music and controls and pure Tetris gameplay and this sort of like all of the elements of that game. No element of that game is wasted. Like everything works together and everything just it is transcendent playing that game. And I've talked about Tetris Effect ad nauseum, so I'm not gonna harp on it too much, but it's out of this world. And especially since you've got the PSVR now, I really think you should give it a try because from what I hear, PSVR just takes it to a whole other level.
Never.
But I can't get enough of that game. I'll still just turn it on and play that first level. Like it's just the perfect experience as a lifelong Tetris fan, and it's that game is just magical. It really is. Anyway, so we're gonna get into the top 3 here because my number 4 was Smash Ultimate, as I said. So yeah. What's your number 3?
This is where the most recent Spider-Man game comes in.
I was curious about this. Okay, so I know the way the rest of your list is gonna look now.
No, now you do.
So yeah, that one's actually my number 2.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Let's both talk about it, I guess. But yeah, so honestly, like this fucking Spider-Man game, my God, I still jump on there just to swing around.
Yeah, I actually did that like 2 days ago.
Yeah, I dead ass. Like I still just it's kind of like reached like where like Sunset Overdrive was for me, where I would just like just fucking just jump on and just travel the map basically.
Right.
But honestly, one of the best Spider-Man stories I've like fucking played through in a long time.
I can't think of a better Spider-Man story in video game form.
Yeah. Shit got me emotional.
Yeah.
Like dead ass emotional. That's the thing. I think a lot of the my top 3 has got me emotional, and I don't get emotional in video games.
My number 1 was the one game that got me very emotional. The next game that I'll talk about got me really emotional too, but in a different way. But yeah, Spider-Man, I mean, like, I can't think of a better first entry to a series, honestly.
Some real shit.
Insomniac nailed it so thoroughly out the gate with this one. Like, the issues that they need to fix, like, because, a lot of times a game's like, oh, okay, well, I really hope they work on this in the sequel, right? With Spider-Man, there's not that much they need to fix with the sequel. They pretty much nailed it in the first one.
More puddles.
I'm just honestly, it's like the second one. It's just do what you did, but more of it, please, because you did it so damn near perfectly the first time.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't want them to fuck it up, basically.
I mean, yeah, there's there's a lot that can be said about the sort of like hit or miss DLC and stuff like that, but
I don't even think it's like that hit or miss, but it's like, yeah.
But the core game is just...
The core game, yeah, that is shit.
I mean, I was very excited about it from the minute it was released, like from the minute it was announced, but even I don't think I ever expected that I would like it as much as I did. Yep. It's really, really good. And it's just, like I said, there's something about... I really like games that are about just doing the right thing, and fiction really, and nonfiction about just doing the right thing and being a good person. And it's like, it's rare that you see games that are about that. And I think that you saw with 2018 a lot of, and maybe this is in reference to the things happening in the real world right now, but a lot of the games that released this year had a underlying narrative about doing the right thing and being a better person.
Yeah.
A lot of the games that we're talking about have that underlying theme to them. I mean, your top 3 pretty much is that.
Yeah. Yeah.
My top 3 pretty much is that. And, I mean, there's something to say about that. I think that goodness I think that goodness is something that's worth celebrating, and I think the games of 2018 did a good job of that. Yeah. So Spider-Man, you're number 3. It was my number 2. My number 3 is Celeste.
God, I'm fucking I'm legit calling it every single time. I'm impressed.
You should have. You should be vocally calling these out.
I really wish I did.
Yeah, because now the audience is going to think you're bullshitting.
I'm not though. I don't think I would. I'm like, it's gonna be Celeste. Watch.
Yeah, no. Celeste is a wonderful, wonderful game. So I honestly think that this game was snubbed for best music at the Game Awards because the soundtrack was just that good.
Yeah, I don't. We talked about that. Like, I understood the audio design for Red Dead, but not soundtrack. That was weird.
Yeah, the music of Celeste is out of this world good. It is so fucking good. And, I mean, just, again, this is just the confluence of the stuff where the game's mechanics are sort of like coalesced with they're sort of coupled with the narrative, and the things that those mechanics represent in the narrative, the personal story about mental health and the way that resonates, regardless of if you have mental health issues or not. Like, I think that Celeste tells a very personal story that is affecting, and in the way that Hellblade did last year. I think that Celeste is basically this year's Hellblade in its own way, where, and you know, ironically, they both won the Games for Impact award in their respective game awards. But it definitely, it's nice to have high profile games like this tackle subject matter about mental health and stuff like that, and not treat it like it's a taboo, or that somebody that suffers mental health issues is wrong or invaluable in some way. It's, Celeste handles that stuff deftly, and really, you don't even realize that that's what it's about until the game is almost over. And then once that puzzle piece clicks into your mind, and you're like, oh wow, that's what all of this has been about, right? And it's wonderful. And I mean, even aside from that, even if it wasn't tackling all of this stuff, all of this great subject matter, and even if it wasn't doing all of this as well as it was, even if it didn't have like the best soundtrack of the year, it is still just at its very core one of the best 2D platformers I've ever played. Like, the game has it has super Meat Boy precise control, and it is difficult, and it is fun, and it is fluid, and it just, everything about that game is perfect. It is so, so good. And it's easily one of the year's best. So go ahead and say your number 2, which, anybody that's been listening to this podcast should know what your number 2 is by now.
Well, shit. They technically shouldn't, because this one easily could have been number 1.
Maybe, but I think I know what your number 1 is.
You know what my number 1 is, but this one was this was the hardest placement for me, actually.
Right.
Because of just how much I thoroughly love this game.
Right.
My number 2 is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yep.
And I'll say this, the game gets me more emotional than my number 1.
Really?
Yes.
I wonder if that's because, well, we'll talk about it, I guess.
But Red Dead Redemption 2 got me. It's still, I'm still fucked up from it. I'm still fucked up from it. Like, I still be watching tributes. I still be watching tributes, kind of sitting there and listening to listening to some of the soundtrack of the game.
I think that's ultimately why that game's soundtrack has been so recognized, is because of what that moment, what moment that soundtrack punctuates. Yes,
that's honestly probably why it did win soundtrack. Honestly,
more so than the quality of the actual music. It is what the music means.
Yeah. Yes, it's like the same thing with it's that whole moment in Red Dead 1 when he's riding off, riding back home. It's there's that moment type of shit
right
in Red Dead 2, and those moments are easily one of the most memorable. But shit, the entire Arthur Morgan's story is honestly one of the most. I've said it multiple times now. easily the best protagonist that Rockstar's ever done.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. Definitely.
Like, fucking easily. Like, it leaves me. I don't give a. It's like it leaves me empty inside at the end of that game. Because the thing with Arthur Morgan, that's the main reason this game's number 2. It's Arthur fucking Morgan. That motherfucker. Like, it is one of the most human characters that I've seen in a game.
Right.
Like, to see him, like, he starts off as this, like, fucking stocky, like, he's the enforcer, man.
Right.
Like, but to see him face himself and that performance, that's why I'm so happy that he won Best Performance at the Game Awards. Just to see that, like, fear. Like, it, oh my God. I really want you to play that game, and I really need you to experience that man's story.
Well, if the game was better, I'd play it.
No. Ooh, that's some fighting words. Gameplay-wise, I'll give it to you.
Well, what what is a game if its gameplay isn't good, Todd?
Shit, I enjoyed Vampire.
Well, there you go. I guess.
See, I can look over bad gameplay.
I can look over. Here's the
good
thing.
narrative.
I can look over gameplay that isn't amazing for a great story, but I really have a hard time with Red Dead Redemption 2's controls.
Honestly it didn't bother me as much as it bothers you.
I hate the way that game feels to play, and I'm gonna get over it one day, and I'm gonna play it. But it's yeah, because I mean, I listening to you talk about it, listening to others talk about it, I definitely want to suffer through it, but I wish that game was better to play.
You will suffer at the end. You will feel empty.
Our number 1 is the same.
Can I say this? You will feel like you lost a friend.
So our number 1 here's the reason I think that our number 1 is our number 1. And it's because it does what you were just describing with Red Dead 2. Maybe not to the same extent as you said that you felt with Red Dead 2, but God of War really has a deep emotional narrative, but it does not sacrifice great gameplay for it at all.
I think that is what it boiled down to put like God of War as my number 1.
Every element of God of War is worlds beyond its competition. Every element of it, from the, think about it. Visually, that game looks better than almost any other game I've ever played. From not even just like the fidelity of the raw graphics, but like the scale of everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Is jaw-dropping, and God of War's always been great at that.
Yeah, God of War's always done that, like, good.
It has one of the best soundtracks of the year. It has a fantastic story that is emotional, and I mean, there's a cutscene in God of War that still puts a lump in my throat, and just the not only is the story emotional, and it's not only about Kratos' evolution as a character, but and not only is it a story about fathers and sons and stuff like that, but it also is so surprising all the time. Like, just when you think you know what's happening, and just when you think that you can see the way things are going, that game flips itself on its ear. And everything that the game tries to do, it succeeds at. From the sort of more deep RPG elements of God of War, it totally nails that, right?
Yep.
The kind of more open world style totally nails it, right? The kind of more, I guess, Dark Souls influenced kind of more visceral combat. Not only
don't get me started on that combat. I can talk about God of War's combat for a fucking hot minute.
Because not only is that combat in that game so much more considered and so much deeper than it's ever been, it still feels like it does not betray its roots. It does not forget the fact that it's still a God of War game. Like, it still feels hack and slashy, and it still feels arcadey, despite the fact that it feels more self-serious and focused. And that game nails everything that it does. Like, there is not a single part of that game that does not feel like it is at the top of its class.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is what makes that game of the year. And it wasn't even a question. Like, when that game came out, I pretty much knew by the time I'd finished it. I was like, wow, I would be shocked if I played anything better than this year. And I didn't. It was an easy decision for me to say that God of War was game of the year. And I mean, like Red Dead 2, everybody loves it. You loved it and stuff like that. But for me, like, God of War was always game of the year. Like,
yeah,
God, it's so fucking good. It's perfect. Everything about it is perfectly realized. And man, when they finally like unveil what they're doing for the next one, I mean, I am just.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm there. I'm there for like the foreseeable future for God of War. Like,
and that's the thing, like, and that was what I was going to say before, is like maybe I honestly think that if you had been there with God of War from the beginning like I have, I think you would probably feel the attachment to it that I do. I'm not saying God of War, I'm not like saying, oh, I fucking God of War has always been, I love God of War. But I have played God of War literally since the first one. And I've played every entry in the series. And so, like, I've grown with Kratos. And to see Kratos go from, like, just this total angry, shithead, unlikable protagonist. Totally unlikable. Like, that's the thing. You play these games, and Kratos is just a total piece of shit. And, like, completely unlikable, and then you go to and you see his growth as a character in this one because of the fact that he's become a father, and to see him grapple.
Well, it's the whole like humanization of like these characters, like just to make them more like relatable almost.
To see Kratos grapple with the sins of his past, and to see them take shape, and to see him learn to grow and forgive himself, and to see him learn to let go of his past and stop hiding. I mean, I have goosebumps now as I say these words. Like, I fucking love this game.
I know which cutscene. I think I know what cutscene is the one that like fucks you up.
It always does. I really love that game a lot. So I don't know that I can say anything more about it except for that.
You covered like everywhere. Like you basically covered God of War right there.
If you have a PS4, God of War is a must play.
Oh shit, that's a no-brainer.
An absolute must play. And honestly, if you don't have a PS4, God of War is worth having a PS4 for. So, anyway, that's our game of the year list. I guess we can, officially sort of crown, since we're unanimous in the decision, we can crown God of War the Nerd Bourbon Game of the Year 2018. Yep. The GOAT, as they say. So with that, we can move into our most anticipated games of 2019. So here's what I did. And I'm not going to take full credit for this idea because other places are doing the same thing, but to me, this is more interesting than just kind of what we did last year, was we basically just looked at the Wikipedia page and talked about it. What I basically did is I made a top 10 most anticipated games of 2019, and I asked Todd to do the same. And I sat there and sort of ranked, I asked him to rank them 1 to 10 or whatever, and I assigned point values to each of them, going from 10 to 1. So like his number 1 game and my number 1 game, it got 10 points. And, our number 9 got, our number 2 got 9 points and stuff like that. So, and then I basically just did some basic arithmetic and made a master list with the combination of our 2 numbers, right? So we in all, and Todd doesn't know my list, and we in all have 15 games here on our list. And it's very interesting the way that this stuff has shaken out. Todd does not know what I'm about to say. So I'm basically going to kind of go through the point values and go from the bottom to the top to get to our most anticipated game of 2019. Mathematically, our most anticipated game of 2019. Todd, are you ready?
Let's do it.
First of all, do you have any predictions? What do you think is going to be our most anticipated game of 2019?
Honestly, I don't know because I don't know where Sekiro is going to be for you.
Right. Right. So yeah. So okay, this is going to be interesting. I think you're going to be surprised by some of this stuff. So at the bottom of our list here, with only 1 point, because it was my number 10, is Doom Eternal.
Oh, I sure. Why the fuck did I forget about Doom Eternal?
I'll tell you what, I almost didn't put this on my list because the 2019 date has not been officially confirmed for Doom. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I would be kind of shocked if they did not release this next year because I don't think Bethesda has a ton of other stuff going on other than Rage. I mean, it's not as if I'd be pretty surprised if they had another Dishonored in the works. Obviously, Bethesda has their own things cooking. I don't think you know Wolfenstein's got an expansion coming out, but other than that, it's like, what are we gonna get? We could possibly get The Evil Within 3, I guess, but like, I really think that Bethesda kind of needs Doom Eternal in 2019 to sort of really have a big marquee game. So I really think this is going to be like a kind of like late summer, early fall game in 2019, even though it hasn't been officially confirmed. I mean, we've already seen gameplay, for fuck's sake, and it looks pretty far along, right? So
yeah,
there's no reason to think that this will not come out next year. And I loved Doom 2016, and you did too. And I really think that Doom Eternal is going to take it to the next level.
Doom brings out like a dark part of me when I play that game.
What do you mean?
Like, it just brings out, like, I'm brutal. Like, I just like, I'm like, it's like, look, I look angry while I play that game.
Well, I mean, the game incentivizes you to play that way, right?
Yeah.
But you mean just in your primal state?
It's real shit.
Well, we can look forward to being primal warriors of 2019 with Doom Eternal. The next game on ours, this was not on my list, but this was on yours, Vane, which is coming January 15th, 2019. Why are you excited about Vane?
I don't know, dude. I'm fucking interested in it. That's the only thing that really caught my eye at the Kind of Funny Game Awards.
Okay.
Or Game Show, whatever.
Right.
Game Showcase, whatever the fuck it was called.
Yeah.
But there's the only thing that truly caught my interest at that, and I'm just kind of like, I'm down for it. Like, I'm interested to see what the fuck that is, what it's gonna be.
I'm very, very interested in that game too. I didn't put it on my list because I don't know anything about it, and there isn't really anything to know about it. I mean, we saw little snippets of gameplay. It seems like it's going to be sort of a third-person, I guess, adventure game where you, like, turn into a crow. But we just don't know enough about it for me to really... Yeah, I'm looking forward to it and I want to play it, but I think I am probably going to wait to hear what you say about it first.
Yeah.
Next is another thing that was on your list, but not on mine, with 4 points, Anthem, coming February 22nd, 2019. So what's the deal with Anthem?
Here's the I've been interested in Anthem since like from the get go. Like, has my interest like dwindled? Like a little bit, yeah. But I think I'm still gonna fuck with it. It's fucking BioWare Destiny.
Right.
Like, I'm there. I'll let it like hurt my soul after it's like not that good. And BioWare gets fucking shot in the head.
Yeah. BioWare shoots itself in the back of the head.
No, EA's shooting BioWare.
Yeah, I really do think that BioWare's future depends on Anthem.
It does. It fucking does. We've been saying that since Anthem like was announced. It's like, dude, if it flops, ooh, it's like goodbye BioWare.
I mean, here's the problem is that like Anthem is just going to have too much competition, and like honestly, I don't think that this trend is going to last that much longer.
The whole
it's easy, yeah, the whole like sort of connected world shooter thing.
Yeah. I'm kind of hoping it dies soon. Honestly.
Here's the thing is like when you think about it, what are the best-selling games of this year, right? It's God of War, it's Pokemon, it's stuff like that. And it's like
it's the renaissance of single player games, honestly.
I don't necessarily think it's even the renaissance of single player games, but I do think that it accentuates the importance of, oh hey, like single player games are not only are they alive and well, but they're winning, right?
Yeah.
Like, and when and the reason that they're winning is not because these games aren't good, but because the market is oversaturated. Like, what are these gamers expected to do? Are they expected to play Anthem and Destiny and Division 2? Are they expected to play all of this all at once? You know? Like, that's not gonna, like, that dog won't fucking hunt. Like, it's the same thing as, like, as I was saying with the Battle Royale games. Like, these games they're not gonna last. Like, they're gonna eat each other. You know? And I feel like this genre is gonna do the same thing. They're gonna fucking eat each other. And Anthem, in my opinion, I think Anthem looks good. I think the gameplay looks magnificent. I think it looks like it's going to be a ton of fun to play. I would love to sit there and actually just like fly around in that mech suit. I think it looks like it's going to be a blast. But I don't think that there's going to be anything in Anthem that's going to make it stand apart from its competition. I don't think that Anthem is going to do nearly as well as EA wants it to. And especially stacked up to all these other games, I just don't think... I mean, I would love to be wrong, but I just don't think Anthem is going to end up being a success. I think it's going
to... Here's the thing. I'm ready. I'm fully ready to do a topic in 2019. Rest in peace.
I just... and it almost... The Dragon Age 4 announcement almost felt like a desperation play.
Oh, that's some real shit.
It almost felt like it was BioWare saying, well, we know Anthem's not going to do well, but please don't cancel us because we're working on Dragon Age. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I really do think that. I think that BioWare...
No, I completely agree.
I really think that was sort of a ballsy move on BioWare's part to be like, hey, EA, don't close this down because now everybody's looking forward to Dragon Age. And that series does well, right? So, I don't know, man. I think that, I think Anthem looks good. I don't think Anthem's going to be anything less than good. But I don't think it's going to do what BioWare and EA want it to do.
Yeah.
So, next up is another game that was on your list but not on mine, Gears of War 5, which has a vague 2019 release date.
Yeah.
So tell me about Gears. What ended up pushing Gears onto your list?
Here's the thing. I love the shit out of Gears 4.
Oh yeah.
Like the story at least. It was
like great.
I want to see where they actually go with the story for Gears 5. That's the main reason. Like I am anticipating that. I want to see that shit.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that too. Yeah. I enjoyed Gears 4 story as well. My only issue is that it's an Xbox game.
I know.
Like,
that is my issue too, but I will find a way.
Well, I mean, we could play it on PC or whatever, right? If we really, really wanted to. But the thing about it is like, it's an Xbox game, and it almost feels like I just almost wish that Xbox would just give up the ghost on Xbox One and just say like, hey, Gears 5, like we're just gonna hang on to you until the next thing launches.
You're right.
Like, why couldn't Gears 5 just hang on to it? Make it a launch title in 2020.
System. Yeah.
Because I'm sorry to say, if that game's launching on Game Pass, which it is because it's a Microsoft game, you're going to stand to lose money on it anyway. So why not? If you're going to eat shit, in other words, Todd, if you're going to eat shit, and I don't think they're going to eat shit, but I'm just saying, if you're already planning on eating shit, why not do it on your own terms? Why not do it on the next Xbox and just, kind of redo it like that? I mean, I understand it's the whole like 2-year cycle, 3-year cycle or whatever. Let's pop out another Gears game. And I think it looks great, but I'm almost surprised that this game is coming out next year. I guess we'll see. Like you, I loved the story of Gears 4. I think the gameplay is still as good as it's ever been.
Yep.
But I definitely am a little bit apprehensive about the fact that, I mean, look, it's an Xbox One game.
Yeah.
And because of that, I'm just like, I don't know if I'll play it until I get the next Xbox. You know what I mean? So in that way, I guess everybody wins, because in that way, I guess it will be a launch title for the next Xbox for me. Yet another one here. Next up on our list, yet another one that was on yours but not on mine. And that is Rage 2. That's coming May 14th, 2019.
Yeah, despite, Bethesda's dumbass, E3 conference. I think the game looks fun.
Yeah, I think Rage 2 is going to be it's the solid sevens, right? I think it's the thing we always talk about. I think Rage 2 is going to be a totally solid, fun game. I think it looks great.
Oh, yeah, I like good old single player open world shooters like that though. I'm down for that.
I'm down for it too. It probably won't be a day one purchase for me, but I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. I think it's gonna be fun. I will say, even though it did not end up making my list, the game is getting compared to Far Cry New Dawn a lot, and I am looking forward to Far Cry New Dawn more.
Did I put that on my list?
No, you didn't.
Oh, you know what it was? It was originally on my list. I took it off.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I think Rage 2 looks fun though. I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it was I think it was in the spot that Vane ended up with.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so the next game here, and this actually tied with Rage 2. I put Rage 2 on the list first just because just because it was alphabetical or whatever. But Spelunky 2, which was on my list and not on Todd's, it has 6 points for me. Has a vague...
Shit's not on my radar at all, because I never played the first.
Well, yeah, because you're not a Spelunky fan. But, I mean, the people that love Spelunky know how good Spelunky is. And I mean, Spelunky 2 looks like the sequel that I never knew I wanted. It just looks incredible. Everything that is being done to that game, it looks like the natural progression of the series. And it honestly feels like a dream that Spelunky 2 is even happening at all, let alone the fact that it's coming out next year. So it looks wonderful. I don't know what else I can say about it. I can't wait to play it. And my wife, it's her favorite game of all time. So that game is going to take over my house when it comes out. The next game on here was on my list with 7 points and was not on Todd's list, and that is Animal Crossing for the Switch.
It was originally on my list, if it makes you feel better.
Yeah, coming in 2019. Again, a vague 2019 release date. A lot of my games have vague or assumed 2019 release dates.
I think that's one of the main reasons I took it off.
Yeah.
Because it was the real vague 2019.
And is it possible that it could be pushed? Sure, but I don't think it will. I mean, New Leaf came out in 2013. So I mean, New Leaf, by the time this comes out, will be 6 years old. It is high time that we have a new Animal Crossing game, a new proper Animal Crossing game on Switch. And the fact that Nintendo's announced it, I think bodes well. I think the game is on track for a 2019 release. I can't wait to see more from it. It is easily the game that I'm most looking forward to on Switch next year.
It's honestly going to be the first time I've jumped back into Animal Crossing since I think the last one I played. Fuck, I don't even remember the last one I played.
Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier in the show where I said there are very few games that I've put more than 500 hours into. Animal Crossing New Leaf is one of them.
Yeah, it's honestly, I think it's about time I jump back into Animal Crossing, because I played the shit out of the one on GameCube.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Yeah.
It released on N64 in Japan, but then when it came to the States, they released it on GameCube. But yeah, I love Animal Crossing, man, and I cannot wait for this to come out on Switch. That is going to be the thing that makes me buy a second Switch, because my wife put even more time into New Leaf than I did. So next on the list is the first game on here that we both had on our list. This is Psychonauts 2.
Yeah.
Coming in 2019, vague date. This got 3 points from you and 4 points from me, from a grand total of 7 points.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, cannot wait. Psychonauts 2.
Shit, I backed it.
Same. And I can't wait. I don't. There's not really much to say. I mean,
Psychonauts, shit.
Psychonauts 1 is one of my favorite games of all time, and I mean, we saw a trailer recently at the Game Awards. It looks fantastic. So it's like, what else is there to say? I love the first game,
Yeah.
Psychonauts 2. It's, again, it feels like a dream. It feels like one of those things where you're like, shit, is that ever going to actually happen? And here it is happening.
I'll say the shit felt a little more real when I finally got the shirts for for backing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's the thing.
How's
It's
it?
happening. It's coming next year. And
Because, dude, when the fuck did I back it? It was like a couple of years ago now, isn't it?
it was not the last game. I don't think it was. Maybe it was the last year's Game Awards.
That's what I'm saying. I know I definitely like backed it.
It was at least a year ago that we backed it. Yeah. The next game on here is a game that was on my list but was not on Todd's. That is The Outer Worlds. I was actually surprised that this wasn't on your list.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
A lot of the games that you have on your list, I thought about.
Right. Well, I was surprised that this wasn't on your list because this essentially, I think, is going to scratch that Borderlands itch really well. And this game, everything that I have seen and heard about this game, which, is admittedly pretty little, and it has a vague 2019 release date and stuff like that. But, I mean, this is Obsidian's new game. It looks awesome. I love everything we've seen from the world. I like the level of player choice that we've already seen just in the trailers, and everything that Jason over at Kotaku has reported on the game. Everything that I'm seeing and hearing about this game sounds like it's right up my alley, and it sounds like it's exactly the sort of like shooter RPG that I'm looking for. Like, it's not going to be this big, sprawling, epic 100-hour. It's going to be kind of a contained open world RPG shooter, and I'm good with that. Like, everything that I'm seeing and hearing is very much my shit. So, next up is a game that was on my list but was not on Todd's, understandably. It got 9 points from me. Almost the maximum amount of score I can give it. And that is Kingdom Hearts 3. Coming January 29th, 2019.
Yeah. I knew that shit was going to be pretty high for you.
Yeah, it ended up being number 2 on my list for 9 points. Here's it's so funny. So the game is like gone gold, and in fact, people actually already have it.
Yeah, apparently there's spoilers and leaks.
Yeah,
going on the internet.
Yeah, so like the game's not out for like 5 weeks or something like that, and people already like have it and stuff like that. So the game is real and it exists and it's done and people are playing it. But like, I still have this fear in the back of my mind. I'm like, it's probably going to get pushed.
Oh my god.
It's been so long, Todd. Kingdom Hearts 2 came out like 12 years ago. Like,
God damn.
It's been so long. Like, hell, even the last Kingdom Hearts game, even Dream Drop Distance, I think that came out in like 2011 or 12 or something like that. So I mean, like, it's been a long fucking time since any Kingdom Hearts anything has come out. So like, as a Kingdom Hearts fan, for this game to finally be on the precipice like this, I mean, it's pretty exciting. I mean, it's funny because as I've gotten older, I'm sort of realizing more and more how like kind of shitty Kingdom Hearts is. But like, well, like when I was a kid, I was totally buying into it, right? I mean, you got to understand, the first game came out in like 2002. I was like 12 or 13 when I played the first game. So I was totally on board, but now I'm like almost a 30-year-old man, and it's like when you're playing this like kind of weeb trash RPG, I mean, I still love it. Like, in the way that, when you go back and you listen to music from when you were like a kid and you still kind of love it?
Every day.
Like,
every day I listen to a little old Linkin Park.
yeah, you can recognize that it's like emo trash, right? But you still love it, right? Because of what it meant to you back then, you still love it despite the fact that you know it's shit. That's me with Kingdom Hearts, right? So
I mean, I respect it. I respect that mindset.
that's how I am with Kingdom Hearts, and I do legitimately think that it is going to be good. Like, and even outside of the sort of things that we've already seen, like, I can't wait to see the surprises, and I can't wait to see this story, this convoluted mess of a shitty story, finally get wrapped up. I actually don't know how they're going to do it. Like, there are so many plates spinning in the Kingdom Hearts games, Todd. You have no idea how fucking crazy and deep the rabbit hole goes.
Yeah, that's exactly why. I don't want.
It's insane. Like, it's insane, and I can't wait to see how they wrap this all up, and I can't wait to see all the Disney worlds, and I'm so on board, and I mean, it feels like it's the full circle moment of the past, I mean, shit. By the time the game comes out, it's gonna be, I mean, hell, it's gonna be almost 2019. I mean, and I think the first game came out in 2002, 2003, or something like that.
Yeah,
So
2002. I was just looking it up.
So yeah, I mean, it's a full circle moment for sure, and yeah, I cannot wait. The next game, and this is gonna be this is gonna be interesting for you to hear. The next game is on your list, not on mine. Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. March 22nd.
I knew it wasn't going to be on your list.
March 22nd, 2019. It was Todd's number 1, so it got 10 points. And yeah, I mean, it really couldn't have been anything else for you.
Well, no. If FromSoft can shit in my mouth, and I'll enjoy it.
They did. It was called Dark Souls 2.
I still enjoyed it until they ate the shit and shat out it again with a Scholar of the First Shit.
Scholar of the Human Centipede.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Tell me, what are you looking forward to most about Sekiro?
Honestly, I'm interested to see their, again, this is them finally doing and more so a Eastern fantasy. They always do that kind of Western sort of whole, still the whole demons and shit like that. And also, I kind of enjoy the fact that it's actually going to be an actual character. You're not actually creating a character.
Right.
And also I'm just looking forward to seeing what they're, because it's not, I don't think it's going to be, I mean, obviously there's probably going to be similar mechanics to Souls, but I want to see what they're going to be doing differently. I want to see the evolution of FromSoft's games,
I think the game looks fantastic. The only reason it's not on my list is just because I am waiting to hear, what I'm looking for with From games. So I'm kind of waiting I'm basically, the second that you tell me, yeah, this is what you want, I'm going to be like, all right, cool. Here, $60 here. Have it.
Yep. That is a day one purchase. That is a no-brainer for me because it's just again, I suck FromSoft dicks. I suck their dick. That's all it really is.
It looks great. I almost, there's rumors, and I sort of think it's true that the game started off as a Tenchu game, and
I could
because
see
From did acquire the rights to Tenchu, but interestingly, they're partnered with Activision with Sekiro, and the story goes that Activision's like, dude, you're From Software. It would actually. You will probably sell more if you make this a new IP.
Doing a more original
exactly.
game. Yep. I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly because I think it's more interesting to see a new IP from FromSoft because you see something like that, you're like, ooh, what the fuck is that?
Right.
What is this? Because they have built such a reputation with the Souls series, Bloodborne, and that. It is more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if they're releasing Sekiro and they make this sort of their third crown jewel to go along with Dark Souls and Bloodborne, I mean that.
Oh, it's over. It's over.
I'm very, very I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. The next one here is on both of our lists, and this is another one where it's an assumed 2019 date, but it's not confirmed. And in fact, we're in the bottom or the top 4 here, and all of these were both on both of our lists.
Well, they have to be at this
point. Right. So this game got 7 points from you. It got 3 points from me for a combined total of 10. This is Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, yeah.
Assumed 2019 date. They have never actually said that, but I mean, we've seen full gameplay walkthroughs of it. It's gotta be 2019.
That game gets my dick hard.
The gameplay walkthrough that we saw at last E3 was so good. The game looks immaculate. Sucker Punch, I'm a longtime fan of everything they've done, and this really looks like a big step up from everything Sucker Punch has done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm totally on board with Ghost of Tsushima. I can't wait to see more. I think that's probably going to be their Sony's kind of big fall 2019 game. So we'll see. I mean, look, is it possible that they could be holding that for PS5 or holding it for 2020?
I could do this thing. Like some of those with the vague 2019, I could easily see them like fucking pushing.
I mean,
and,
look,
like, holding on to until like a
look.
PS5.
I mean, they could slip. They could easily slip, but I don't think that this is 2020. I really do. This is going to be a fall 2019 game. I really do believe that. You know, the next game here actually is the same thing where it's assumed 2019. They've never said 2020 or 2019 or anything like that, but I really do believe it's going to be next year. That's The Last of Us Part 2. This was actually at the bottom of your list, which I was surprised by. So it only got 1 point
because I'm a firm believer that Last of Us didn't need a sequel.
Here's the thing. So here's how this is really interesting, actually. So this is at the bottom of your list. This is at the top of my list.
Yep.
So it ended up getting 1 point from you, 10 points from me for a combined total of 11. I'm sort of with you in that I don't think The Last of Us needed a sequel, but the fact that it's getting one and like everything that we have seen about The Last of Us Part 2, it looks fucking out of this world. Like,
oh no, yeah.
And Naughty Dog, I mean, think about it for a second. Like, Naughty Dog has never made a bad game. Period. Point blank, period. They've never made a bad game. Naughty Dog has never not delivered. And like Neil Druckmann in particular, who, by the way, due to his successes working on Uncharted and moving up and stuff like that, he's now the vice president of the company. And everything he touches turns to gold. I mean, he came into Uncharted 4 late in development when that game was going to shit, right? And that game was not coming together. He saved that game and he made it. I mean, he made Uncharted 4, at least for me, the best game in the series at the 0 hour, right? And sort of took that game to the finish line and made Uncharted 4 really special. And The Lost Legacy, really special, right? And Naughty Dog, I mean, Naughty Dog, for my money, pound for pound, is the best working video game developer in the world. I mean, seriously. I really do believe that. I think Naughty Dog is the best working video game developer in the entire world. Anything that they release is going to shoot right to the top of my radar. So that's why The Last of Us Part 2 is number 1 for me.
I feel that.
Yeah. and I think that Naughty Dog is going to make exactly the game they want to make. I think The Last of Us Part 2, they probably weren't going to make it. It was probably a Sony like kind of hey, Last of Us is really successful. We would love it if you made a second one. I don't think that Naughty Dog wanted to, but I think that when push came to shove, they were probably like, all right, let's give it our all. This is our next big thing. And I think summer 2019 is probably likely for this game. I mean, it's possible that it gets pushed. It's never been said 2019, but it's summer feels right. I mean, I think the first game came out in June 2013, so the sort of summer time frame feels right for Last of Us. And man, I think it looks fucking insane. It looks out of this world. I mean, I can't wait. Naughty Dog is at the top of their craft. They have never been better than they are right now. Our number 2, and this is interesting. I was actually surprised that this was so high on your list.
I don't remember what the fuck it was. Honestly, that list was like bullshitted together for the most part.
See, I put a lot of thought into my list, and it was actually quite hard for me to put this together. But I was just surprised at how high this was on your list. So this one, weirdly enough, this has been given technically a holiday 2019. When the game was announced, the words holiday 2019 were said. That's Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh yeah,
that's got 2 points from me, 9 points from you, for a combined total of 11 points. So I was shocked to see that this was your second most anticipated game of the year under Sekiro. The reason that it was on my list at all, quite frankly, was just because I love the idea.
That's kind of where it is for me, and I just want to see what they do with that idea.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm totally looking forward to it. I think Respawn is a great developer. I think that I love the idea of like playing as a Padawan that survived Order 66 and the
premise of the game is enough to get me hyped for it.
Oh, don't get me wrong, very hyped. I mean, I'm a massive Star Wars fan. I can't wait. But like the fact that we've seen literally nothing about it
I know.
it's the reason that it was almost at the bottom of my list.
Yeah.
The fact that it was on my list at all just goes to show how hyped I am for it. So I think the game, has a lot of potential, but I mean, we haven't seen a damn thing about it at all. So, which is worrying to me, and I'm fully confident that we'll see more about it in the new year, but I'm not necessarily confident that it will make the holiday 2019 date.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, especially since if EA sticks to the course, in theory, Battlefront 3 will be coming out next year. If EA continues the cycle that they've been continuing, where it's Battlefront, Battlefield, Battlefront, Battlefield.
Yeah.
2019 would be Battlefront's year to come back. So I'm curious if they're going to oversaturate the market with so many Star Wars games. We'll see. I mean, nothing would make me happier. I would love to do that, and I would love for 2019 to be the year where it's like, hey, this month I'm buying Battlefront 3, this month I'm buying Jedi Fallen Order, and at the end of the year I'm seeing Episode 9. Like, nothing would make me happier than that, Todd. But, we'll see. So, number 1 here, for the official, mathematically, Nerd Bourbon's most anticipated game of 2019, with a combined total of 13 points, 8 from you and 5 from me. Devil May Cry 5.
Oh.
That's coming out March 8th, 2019. So that was surprising to me.
That shit looks good, dude.
Oh, no. Look, I think the game looks amazing. And everything. I don't know if you've actually watched playthroughs of the demo that recently came out on Xbox.
I have not.
Oh, my God. Like, the game just looks immaculate. The combat looks so fun. That was always a day one purchase for me. I was just surprised the way that the numbers shook out.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, Devil May Cry, wow, more power to him.
Yeah.
I
mean, I knew Sekiro was going to be high just because it was going to be my 10.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, those games, right. They get the 10 points automatically, right, just from being on the top of your list. But so this was interesting to me, though, because when it all shook down, the game that we sort of aligned the most with and got the most points out of the both of us was Devil May Cry, right?
Yep.
So that ultimately made it come out on top, and I kind of like that. I kind of like that Devil May Cry 5 is our most anticipated, because I mean, I think I'm a longtime fan of the series, and you just recently started kind of playing your way through the series, and look, I think Devil May Cry 5 is a total return to form for the Devil May Cry series. I think it looks amazing. I think the combat looks fast and fluid, and I think it looks like, with the graphics and everything, you might think like, oh, it's got a more serious edge. No, it looks goofy as fuck. Dante in this game like dual wields a single motorcycle as a weapon. So like, if 2019 is like the year of dual motorcycles, I'm all right with that.
I'm all right with that. Let's go.
Like, I'm so on board for this game, and I love that stupid Pull My Devil trigger, that theme song that they have for it.
Yeah.
It is so cheesy, like 2000s, like butt rock. Like, I love it, dude. I love it. It is just scratching all of the right itches for me. Bring on Devil May Cry 5. It's one of the... Actually, I need to pre-order it soon, because that is going to be a day one buy for me.
Yeah, I need to do the same.
So... Anyway, yeah, that's our game of the year for 2018. That's our most anticipated of 2019. I'm looking forward to the things ahead, Todd. It's gonna be good. I think we've got some good stuff coming out. I mean, obviously, there's a ton of stuff that we don't even know about on the horizon. So, especially now, we're coming into that exciting time that I'm really looking forward to, where finally, because we weren't doing this podcast when the new consoles were coming out or whatever, so. Now that we've got Nerd Bourbon, we can sort of be on the precipice of the hype cycle for upcoming consoles.
Yeah. Some real shit.
I'm very much looking forward to that. We're at an exciting time, Todd. An exciting time in video games. So, anyway, you got anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
I want to shout out my kitty for being a good kitty today.
You know what? My kitty was a pretty good kitty today, too. He's just been sitting here at my foot.
This is probably what we're going to have to do now. Our kitty's just going to have to be in my room when we record.
That's fine. Good job, kitty. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you in 2019. Get fucking dunked on. Bye.
See ya.
Hey there, thanks for checking out another fantastic Nerd Bourbon video. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, be sure to go ahead and subscribe, leave us a like, drop us a nice comment, or I guess a mean one if that's your prerogative. But until next time, get dunked on.